I just got back from the CTN Animation Expo this year in 2011. I almost said 2011. In the year 2011, I went to an animation expo, and it was good. Seriously, it really is a good event. And I went to it, and I'm going to tell you about it. So if you don't know what this event is, it is exactly what it sounds like. It's an animation expo. It's all about animation. CTN stands for Creative Talent Network, and this thing is held in Burbank, California every year. There's a ton of studios out there. This one that I went to was his third year, and they had Andreas Deja, Eric Goldberg, Bill Plimpton, Oscar Grillo, Nancy Beeman. I even heard that Matt Groening made a little appearance there walking around on the floor. So the expo is 3 days long. But I'm going to start at day 0 because this will start the little tips that I'm going to give you. The first tip, get there early. And when I mean early, I don't mean early in the day. I mean get there like at least a day early, because day 0 is the day before the conference, and that's pre-registration. You're definitely going to want to be there for that. You don't want to be registering the day of the expo. I'll give you some other tips along the way on how to properly soak up all the juicy goodness of the Animation Expo later on in the breakdown video. But right now, we'll start with that tip. Get there early. Because the other thing that happened beside pre-registration was we got to see a 30-minute preview of Arthur Christmas. I'm not going to go too much into that because I already wrote a review of the sneak peek on my blog. But what was cool is that afterward they had people from pre, mid, and post production go up there and talk and answer questions, and that was pretty cool. But the one thing that I really remember about it was how horrible it was to get a parking space in that theater. We were driving around in circles throughout that thing. The only thing that kept running through my head is the Benny Hill song. That was in a constant loop in my head. And then when we finally got to the parking spot, everybody just cheered. Yay! That was the first day. It was kind of fun. Okay, so on to day 1. Here's where we actually get into the, stuff. The floor was packed. Had Disney Animation, Sony Animation, the Gnomon School, Animation Mentor, all these things. And of course, our favorite graphics tablet producer was there. And I had to stop by the table and ask him, how do you pronounce your name?
We're going to prove it.
What are you proving?
I'm proving right now how you pronounce that word right there. Okay, say it.
Welcome.
One more time.
Welcome.
Welcome. Repeat.
Welcome.
Repeat.
Welcome.
There you go. Welcome. Thank you.
You hear that? It's not Wacom, it's Wacom. See what I do for you? I settle these things, so you don't have to look stupid. People were trying out those huge new Cintiqs, 24 HD, and they were really great. I mean, everybody was just a super artist. I got an opportunity to check out the Inkling. That was kind of cool, and I'm going to do a full review later on when I actually, get it. There were also all sorts of digital and classic demos that were right in the center area there. They had another drafting table that was out in the hallway. I'm just walking by. I just noticed, hey, look, there's Ryan Woodward is just drawing there in front of people. And people were going up and asking him questions. He was explaining some of his method, and it was a cool experience. Behind that, there was actually there were figure drawing models, right? But these were no regular figure drawing models. There was a man and a woman, and they had all sorts of the set, the music, the clothes, the facial expressions, everything. It was like a story. It was a snapshot from a movie. It was very cool. They had all these artist seats that were there. People were honing their figure drawing skills. Now we move on to the real cool part. I think this was my first panel that I went to of the entire expo. It was Andreas Deja, his Deja Vu panel. It was really cool. Starting out was basically just the blog that was live. So that was really cool. Especially when someone in the audience told Andreas Deja that his snake from Princess and the Frog, Juju, looked like Kaa from the Jungle Book. And asked him, did you do that on purpose? It was really fun to see his response. He basically said, I appreciate you asking me, and I'm really glad you brought that up because you're absolutely wrong, and I'm going to prove why you're wrong. And so he drew both of them back to back and showed how different they were from one another. After that, Andreas Deja brought up a special guest. And that special guest was Richard Sherman of the Sherman Brothers, that wrote like every single Disney song ever. It was such a treat to listen to him tell stories about being in the room when they were creating these classic, iconic movies and the songs that went with them. So he sang things like I Want to Be Like You from the Jungle Book. That was really fun. It was also a lot of fun when he performed the Tigger theme.
Tigers are wonderful things. Their tops are made out of rubber. Their bottoms are made out of springs. They're bouncy, bouncy, flouncy, bouncy, fun, 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 fun. But the most wonderful thing about Tigers is I'm the only one.
Of course, then he went on to Mary Poppins because he did do live action stuff, and that had everybody clapping their hands. I mean, just a whole room full of animators just joining along. He had everybody feeding out of his hand with everything he did. He even stopped the song halfway through to ask if anybody could say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious backwards. You know that part in the song? And some girl stood up and she said it.
Say it backwards, up and loud. Yeah! Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Just being around these people, they have such a wealth of experience and such a wealth of knowledge. Everybody there was super cool, and they were really good with their time. It was very easy. After the Deja Vu, Andreas Deja was out just talking with people, talking with fans, taking pictures. It was very approachable. I got a picture with him. I'm not ashamed of it. So that would be tip number 2, I think. Get stories. Stories have life experience in them. Stories have emotion in them. Stories have humor and pain, and those are all the things that make up inspiration. And that is what's going to stay with you. That's what you're going to tell to other people. That's the thing that you are going to have ringing in your brain when you come home, are the stories. So talk to people and listen to people. Now, day 2, I didn't know what to expect from day 2 because that first day was just set on such an amazing note. I didn't even know what was going to be able to follow that.
Did you get my ear in there?
I got your forehead.
Yeah.
Bald spot,
Nice.
receding hairline. I'm a brilliant cameraman. We begin.
Out where I saw Ryan Woodward the day before, Nancy Beeman was there. The figure models were still doing their thing, and started off the day with the panel from Ryan Woodward. His animated short, Thought of You, was really inspirational to me, and to hear him talk about that whole process, and to hear him talk about his career was also another thing. Again, all comes back to the story. So day 2 kicked off with a good one. So I'm going to go back to the floor. I'm just going to, walk around. So I did. I made the rounds again, came back out, and I heard this laugh. You cannot mistake that laugh. That is an Eric Goldberg laugh. I turned around, went right back. He was just sitting there talking to people, telling stories. Another example of someone who's just really great with his time and infectious in his love for animation, his love for the art. He was talking about all sorts of things, and then he started telling stories, and I turned on the camera.
The genie's trying to come up with a mode of transportation. He's transforming Abu into lots of, let's see, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? And, Rasul Lazadani, who is our head of layout, said, why don't you turn him into a car? And we cracked up. So for, about 16 frames, he's an auto with fins, We just thought it was the funniest damn thing. Yes, we're trying to think of some mode of transportation. What would that be? Why don't you turn him into a car?
So I don't know how you can listen to that and not love animation. That night, I went out to dinner with Fergal Riley, Ryan Woodward, Jules Jamal, Dave Johnson. It was a really great way to end that second day. And again, more stories. Now, by the time the third day came around, I was beat. Oh, and also, it was raining. Kind of a lot. But because of that, the floor was pretty much open. by that point. And that was awesome. To be able to talk to some of the people that have been swarmed the days before, now had a little bit of time. I think especially for animation, something like this is almost essential. We're spread out all over. And this kind of gets us all in one spot. There's a lot of animators in California that I see talking back and forth on Twitter, and they had never even met each other. And they went to the Animation Expo, and they met each other there. It's not as corporate as something like Comic-Con, not as technical as something like SIGGRAPH. Rides that middle line. So I highly, highly recommend it. Now, if you were at that expo and you were in the Deja Vu panel with Richard Sherman, you know that I left something out of my little breakdown, and this is what I'm going to leave you with. He closed out that talk with the most amazing, goosebump creating rendition of Feed the Birds. I mean, after all these really fun, really upbeat songs, to play that, I can't explain it, and a video does not do it justice. It just doesn't. You have to be there. You had to be in that room in order to experience it. So now that I'm coming up on the end of this thing, I'm going to give you my final tips. We've already got a couple, right? Number 1 is get there at least a day early. Number 2, get stories. Number 3 is going to have to be look at the schedule, okay? Look at it at a time. When you had to get your fast passes that help you skip the line and get into the ones you really want to go to, you're going to have to know right there what panels you want to go to. So pay attention to the calendar. Number 4 is going to be stay there. Stay at the Marriott. Don't stay at another hotel. If you stay at another hotel, you're going to be driving or you're going to be taking a taxi and it's going to be a pain. Stay at the hotel. Trust me. And here's my 5th tip. Relax. Okay? Seriously. There were a lot of kids there that were pushing really hard to show their reel. In these really awkward moments, just like pop open the reel randomly. I mean, there are people there that are looking at your portfolio. There are set up places for people to check out your portfolio. Just relax a little bit. Enjoy yourself. That's my 5th tip. And that's a good tip, I think, in general. Just in life. Just relax a little bit. All in all, the Animation Expo is the place for an animator. If you are an animator, you go to the Animation Expo. That's it. If you're watching this 2 or 3 years in the future, you go, yeah, duh, because that's where everybody's going to be going. Trust me. That is the place to go. If you have the means and opportunity to go for 2012 or any of the following years, go. That's it. There's nothing more to say. Oh, right, I can turn it on.